What's up, fighters? Sam Battlefields here. Thanks for joining me on this Ecological Dynamics journey into finding out and exploring the ecological dynamics approach to grappling. Today, I didn't so much plan a class. Reason being is because I wasn't even sure if anyone was going to be in. It is the last day of the year, or last day of classes for the year. And a whole heap of the guys have already informed me that they won't be in next week, which kind of put a little bit of a dampener on what I've been excited about. You know, I've been like, fuck yeah, let's get into it. Like, this is killing it for me. And, you know, but in saying that, you know, they all sort of are probably aware that the gym is shutting down. And so they've made plans around it. It is Christmas, and Sam can't get everything that he wants for Christmas. On the screen to here, you'll see what looks like a ridiculous caricature. In fact, this is a multi-award-winning. Actually, when I say a multi-award winning, it's an award. It's my version of an award-winning proprioception or proprioception rendition or representation. So notice the big eyes, little nose, sort of fairly decent-sized ears, but massive hands, massive mouth. All right, small body, little legs. All right, for the average person, their proprioception of the world is in their hands, right, and in their eyes and in their mouth. Okay, so because of how the body is and interacts with the world, primarily the eyes, so the proprioception is the eyes are massive, the hands are massive because they are what interacts with the world, and the legs are not so. This was actually an art piece that I saw probably 2 decades ago. Not this. This is me, obviously doodling on a pad, but it's a representation of that piece of art. Now, that always intrigued me. This always intrigued me. This idea that there's a proprioception, because as I got further along in martial arts, I could agree with it at that time, but as I was getting further on, I was like, oh, yeah. So over time, particularly any type of martial art, really, but more awareness of your body, you know, martial artists, gymnasts, athletes, anything like that, they become more aware of their body. So not only their hands and their arms become more, I suppose, in line with what they actually are in regards to your environment, and your, you know, maybe your eyes are still the same, but what I've sort of, the reason why I put this into play is because proprioception was something that I have discussed with regards to movement, but I haven't really sort of seen how I could implement it, I suppose. But you know, this is going back a long, long way. I'd love to see it again, because there was an Australian show called The Girl from Tomorrow, and I loved it when I was young. It was an ABC show, and in it, there's a girl from, I think, probably this, you know, around this time, and it's, you know, she's from the future, going back to the 80s, and she's got this thing on a headband that has this crystal that she can make things happen with, and she's, you know, and she says that she's at school, and she says somewhere, don't worry about all this nonsense that I'm talking, but the teacher says we've got 5 senses, and she's like, we've got 16, and I think proprioception would be in that, which is pretty cool, because at the time she was saying that scientists think there are scientists in the future will think that there are 16, and I would imagine that this one, that proprioception, is one of them. it is quite interesting to think about, but how your body reacts with the world and reacts to its environment. So I had a massive chat with a couple of the guys this morning, because a couple of the guys did come in, and they, one of them hadn't really sort of been through any of my classes throughout the last couple of weeks, so it was all brand new to him. He had one where it was touched on, but it was really cool, even just showing him the hip game, so where you collect, where the person on the top is trying to attach as much of their body to their hip, and the person on bottom is doing the same. So each of them are trying to get as much of their body attached to their opponent's hip. And it was just interesting. He was asking questions when I was showing kind of a move. I wasn't really. I was talking about an underhook and how you can use that. And he asked, why would I want to go below their hip? And I was like, rather than tell you, why don't you figure it out? And so I gave him this game, and he was like, oh, far out, it's, and he really sort of got it, which was great. And then we had this massive discussion about the ecological dynamics approach and why I'm shifting to it, and we were talking about a number of things, but ultimately all the things I am quite excited about, and still am excited about. And over the past sort of several months, I spoke to someone else, completely outside of the, wasn't a student, it wasn't even someone who was training, but she had some insights as well. She was a mother of one of the students. But yeah, anyway, so I kind of, I wanted to look at like some really shitty diagrams, so I apologise for this, but the linear method, and this is, can we turn it? No, we can't turn it. Alright, so the linear method, the old method of learning is you learnt a technique, right? And then you learnt another technique, and then you learnt another technique, and you learnt another technique. And we were told, over time you'll be able to chain these techniques together, and I've spoken about chaining on this channel already. But we were told you'll be able to chain these techniques together, and after a while you'll be able to chain other techniques into it, and then after a while, like there'll be even more chain techniques that you can run between them, and from a logical perspective that does make sense, but what these links seem to do is it puts you into this mindset of one technique combines with second technique, combines with third technique, and that's not how, well, in my experience, that's not how things work, right? So this is me doing the crazy man, like drawing shit madly, like trying to get my thoughts out on paper. So if we look at it like this is jiu-jitsu, right? And we've got, say, each of these areas that are delineated by the black. Essentially, what they are is areas of jiu-jitsu. So let's, if we broke it down like John Danaher, it would be standing and then top and bottom. Let's just say that we're breaking it up even more into like half guard, deep half, top, bottom, mount. That doesn't really matter. It's a representation. Shut the fuck up. All right. So what we've got is these different areas of jiu-jitsu. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, however many there are, and these red circles are denoting essentially games within them. So there'll be overlap within these. So, let's say this was mount, this area here, and this was half guard. All right. The overlap of this game is that, well, I escaped to half guard. So that's overlapping there, which then overlaps with a sweep, So you're constantly overlapping these techniques instead of delineating. All right, now we've finished in half guard, and now we are going into we finished mount, and your mount escape is finished at getting into half guard. Now you're in you're moving from mount to half guard to sweep seamlessly. Right? It's really poor representation now that I'm talking about it, but what I've found in my roles this morning, again, my self-talk has gone from internal to external. So I am so on board with this, with talking about destabilization, right? And I imagine that's what Kazushi was at one stage as well. It was just a method of saying destabilize. So destabilize your opponent, and then you'll have openings for attack. Because the moment I destabilized, I was rolling with Ridwan. He's very strong, very solid. The moment I didn't need to go, I need to destabilize this. I need to move his hips. I was like, I'll just destabilize him, and where I get some space, I'm going to move it. My head didn't even get in the way, and when it did, I stopped. So I think one of the measures of development of this is going to be the way I'm going to measure success or measure development is how many times I stop in a roll and it's obvious that I stop. I think that's going to be the key factor, right? Because when I stop in a roll, it's because I've got my head involved. If my head's involved, then that's somewhere where if I stop, I can then go, okay, I need to create a game around that. And that's fucking powerful. That's fucking powerful. Anyway, Sam Battlefields, thank you very much for coming along my journey. As I said, today, not so much of a lesson plan. I do want to get more involved with the lesson planning though. But yeah, I've just got to write that down. But yeah, much love. Speak to you soon. Peace.